North Dakota lawmakers are now getting a week's worth of R&R after the first 2 months of the state legislature. They adjourned on day 34 of 80 days allowed by the Constitution.
I don't think that number in the first half really has any idea what happens in the second half. You know, it's not really like halftime of a football game. This is more like we're 5 minutes into the first quarter. There's 47 senators, 94 members of the House.
Governor Kelly Armstrong says he was especially pleased to see House Bill 1176 pass, which right now is proposing a property tax credit for homeowners of $1,450.
As we proposed it, 3 out of 4 houses would qualify for it, and 1 out of 3 would pay no property taxes in the next 2 years. That's a pretty simple way to explain it. Obviously, the policy is a lot more complicated when you're dealing any tax policy.
When lawmakers return, it's the state Senate's turn to debate the matter, but many of the bills already attracting attention this winter relate to cars and pickups. House Bill 1340 would allow drivers to choose darker tint on their front windows.
I had no idea window tint was a big issue until I saw the bill and then the initiated measure.
State House lawmakers also passed House Bill 1298, seeking to raise the speed limit on the interstate from 75 to 80 miles an hour.
As somebody who's spent probably more time on interstate over the last 6 years than most people, my guess is the real effective speed is still going to be 83 miles an hour. I mean, it seems to be that's where you're in that pocket anyway.
Meanwhile, last month, House lawmakers also voted green on House Bill 1382, which could raise the state's gas tax by 3 cents to fund a city, county, and township road fund.
The federal government's $37 trillion in debt, and we're going to have to do some of this on our own. And I mean, if there's a reasonable way to do it, we haven't raised it in a long time. Nobody wants to raise taxes, least of all me. But at the same time, people want to have good roads, and we need them.
Meanwhile, Armstrong, who previously worked as a public defender, says he is concerned about the current status of jail beds in North Dakota. Last week, the state Senate passed Senate Bill 2128, which could take away the Department of Corrections' authority to house offenders in transitional centers. It could also require that offenders serve out at least half of their sentences in jail.
We've been on, prioritization since 2023. We could expend $800 million to add on to the state pen, and not a single one of those beds will be available until 2030. We're not going to build our way out of this.
Governor Armstrong admits now that the crossover is about to begin, he may have to use his veto power, something he says he doesn't plan to do unless absolutely necessary.
There's a lot of good ideas that can become bad policy if it's not done well.
In Bismarck, Joel Porter for KX News.